Welcome to EVTN News, everyone. We are talking about crazy stuff going on. And EVTN, speaking of Vigano, he wrote an article for LifeSite News. And this was in regards to the Pontifical Academy for Life. Remember, the Pontifical Academy for Life has been saying really crazy anti-Catholic things, and it just doesn't stop. Vigano says the president of the Pontifical Academy for Life, Vincenzo Paglia, in the course of an interview given to Italian television channel Rai 3 on August 26th, referred to the infamous Law 194 legalizing the slaughter of the unborn as a he's referred to the slaughter of the unborn as a pillar of our social life. This is, I think, is the Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia. And they also talked about how Humana Vitae is subject to change. And so happy memorial of the beheading of John the Baptist today. Thank you very much for the comment. Now, he did clarify, just today he clarified this statement where he said he meant the pillar of our social life it means that it's pretty stable. It's pretty set in stone, I guess, in society. That's a pretty sorry justification. Maybe he misspoke. He said people misinterpreted him. But even then, don't you want to change the bad things in society even if they're pretty consistent and pretty set in stone? I mean, it just makes no sense. Anyway, Vigano says, as a shepherd and successor of the apostles, I am unable not to condemn with the greatest force Paglia's scandalous words which contradict the gospel and teaching of the Roman pontiffs. Good. He said, it is disconcerting that no one among my brothers in the episcopate, at least of all among the members of the College of Cardinals, dares to raise his voice to condemn Paglia's delusional words and call for his immediate resignation from the Pontifical Academy for Life. Well, it sounds like a bishop, doesn't it? Don't you wish we had more bishops speaking like bishops? I do. And you know what's funny? Not funny, but remember the prophecy of Our Lady of Akita where she said cardinals will oppose cardinals, bishops will oppose bishops? Well, where is it? Where I don't know that we necessarily are living in the times of Our Lady of Akita or the prophecy of Akita, because bishops are not really opposing bishops. It's pretty much a groupthink where they're just all going together and saying, oh yeah, we can promote this heresy, or it's okay. There's only a few bishops that are opposing the other heretical bishops. Everyone else is just saying whatever. So I don't see it. I don't know. Maybe that's not what the prophecy is speaking about, but I don't know. Anyway, there was a clown priest in Venezuela. South America is a real wreck. Yeah, take it as you will. But there are many photos online of a Venezuelan Jesuit, Father Dizzy Perales, Dizzi. I don't know if that's his real name or not. Kind of funny. Dressed as a clown. So there you go, clown mask. Parent Ryan, you get it. All right. Cardinal Leonardo Steiner of Brazil said there will be a way for married priests. He knows that there are centuries-old explanations for celibacy. Nevertheless, he wants to continue to question it. He gives the impression that abolishing celibacy would lead to more priests and flourishing communities. For example, needs of our communities, Eucharist only twice a year, not depriving people of sacramental life. So we'll see this continue. I think that was a big discussion point on at the Amazon Synod, and it's just going to continue because they really want their women priests. They really want their LMNOP married priests. And so they're going to keep pushing as much as they can until they get it and turn the Catholic Church into the Anglican Church, but it won't happen. There might be a false schism, false schismatic church, but That won't happen in the Catholic Church for sure. Okay, so we're getting to the new cardinals. On Saturday, there were a bunch of new cardinals appointed. And I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I'll mention a few of them and their activism and their opinions. Archbishop William Go Sang Chai of Singapore, age 65, in discussing his upcoming position with Vatican News, he highlighted the Pope's teaching on compassion and inclusivity within the Church, including for divorcees and those in the LMNOP community. Shocker. Shocker that a new cardinal would talk about that. While he previously voiced opposition to the repeal of a Singaporean law that criminalized LMNOP activity between men. Good. The Archbishop also opposed the criminal prosecution of LMNOP people. I don't know. Is it a criminal or civil offense? I don't know. You determine that. Okay, so let's see here. The Archbishop also spoke of the need of a secular government separate from and respectful of diversity of religions, pointing to Singapore as a model for interreligious harmony. Well, no, bad. Okay. Bishop Giorgio Marengo of Mongolia, age 47, super young. He is the apostolic prefect of Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Is that the only diocese in the country? The country borders China and only has a Catholic population of about 1,300 in the entire country, which is less people than some parishes. So there you go. Talking about the real periphery cardinals. Well, that's pretty interesting. Bishop Richard Kuya Bawaber of Ghana, age 62. I thought this was interesting. He has used his influence to fight against the country's stigma around mental illness, organizing efforts to feed and clothe those living on the street. He has also spoken out against LMNOP rights, praising his country's speaker in Parliament for his political stance against rights for these communities. All right, so good. Maybe we might have a guy on our side. Who knows? Of course, I think Cardinal Turkson opposed the LMNOPs at one point. At one point's the key phrase there. Archbishop Jean-Marc Aveline of France, age 63. The Archbishop is best known for his work in facilitating interfaith dialogue between Catholics and members of other religions. Bad. In the wake of his appointment by Pope Francis to lead Marseilles in 2019, Marseille, I think that's the diocese. Anyway, by his appointment to lead the diocese in 2019, the Archbishop was categorized as pro-Mohammedan and heretical by LifeSite News, Crisis Magazine, and other reputable publications. Good. Very good. All right. Bishop Donald DeGrood of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Seems like a nice place to go. I mean, I don't know about the weather, but it certainly seems like there are good people there, including Bishop DeGrood. He published his policy on LMNOPs in early August under the title Conforming with the Church's Teaching on Human Sexuality in Education Settings. The diocese mandates that students, church workers, and parish volunteers are to be treated like you would expect, like normal people, according to their assigned sex at birth in matters like names, pronouns, documentation, restrooms, and more. It threatens expulsion from school, employment termination, or bans on parish ministry as possible sanctions if individuals were to advocate, celebrate, or express being LMNOP. So you don't even have to be LMNOP, you just have to, so you might get fired from your job if you support LMNOP, which is great. I think that's fantastic. The Sioux Falls policy is notably more restrictive than policies elsewhere, which is why I'm saying that it seems like there's some good people in South Dakota. For example, when it comes to all parish ministry or liturgical involvement in Catholic schools, men who pretend to be women and vice versa are barred from serving as any roles, such as Eucharistic ministers. All lay people should be banned from that. Or parish council members. They are also banned from communion. Excellent. They are also banned from baptism until church teachings are accepted, as well as being prohibited from serving as godparents, confirmation sponsors, or members of bridal parties. So you can't even be in a wedding, which is particularly restrictive, but it's very much a breath of fresh air, especially in our age of confusion, massive confusion. All right, and then if you go over to Oklahoma, that's not super far away. Omaha, or I'm sorry, not Oklahoma. What am I thinking? Maybe I'm in college football mode. I'm not even a college football fan. Anyway, Archbishop George Lucas of Omaha, Nebraska. That's a little bit closer to South Dakota. The Archdiocese of Omaha's policy, that they have a policy too on LMNOPs, requires all students, parents, guardians, employees, and volunteers to act toward the person in accordance with his or her biological sex at birth. Students are required to use bathrooms and locker rooms that correspond with their biological sex and may not attend school-sponsored dances with a date of the same sex. Failure to abide by the policy can result in possible termination for employees and possible dismissal for the student. The policy also covers parents and prospective students. If a parent resists the school's instruction to the child in the Catholic tenets respecting the human person and human sexuality, their child can be dismissed or refused enrollment. Very fair. Very good. Oh, all right. Going back to the Pontifical Academy for Life. The Pontifical Academy for Life has published an interview with Father Maurizio Chiotti, a member of the Pontifical Academy for Life since 2017, who says Catholic teaching on contraception is open for theological discussion within the Church and even the possibility of dissent. So there you go, Pontifical Academy for Death, because they support the slaughter of the unborn, and then they support all these anti-Catholic ideas. I wonder if they would support or oppose Bishop de Groot and Archbishop Lucas. That's a question that's open for the debate, and I don't know. I think I kind of have a feeling which way they would trend, and I don't think it's the direction of the Catholic faith. Cardinal Burke, I guess apparently he was invited to these meetings. I guess apparently he's going. There's a heretical... This is hilarious. The National Catholic Distorters editor posted a picture of Cardinal Burke and said he's headed on his way to the cardinal discussions. I don't know. Anyway, he also posted a picture of his wife, who was, I guess she was staging some sort of like protest. This is a National Catholic Distorter editor. She is the executive director of a women priest group. A group that supports women priests. So I mean, the distorter is heretical, but then this woman founded a heretical group based on heretical ideas, and anyway, that's kind of going on a tangent, because this guy from the heretical National Catholic Distorter posted a picture of Cardinal Burke going to the meetings. I wasn't sure if he'd get in or not, because he's unjabbed, and so I wasn't sure if Pope Francis would even want him there, because he may ask about the dubia from I don't know how many years ago. But Cardinal Burke said in an interview, the Synod's purpose is to promote the faith, not invent another church and faith. Yeah, pretty obvious. The German Catholics who don't want to fund the synodal way and with their church tax, and are considering leaving, Burke recommends staying in their parishes, as painful as it is, and fighting for the truth of the faith. Ooh, that's not a recommendation I would give. I think they have Society of St. Pius X parishes there in Germany. That would be a better option. Burke's logic. Otherwise, if everyone leaves, the church will fall into the hands of those who destroy the Catholic faith and its practice. Unfortunately, this has occurred in Germany already a long time ago. Yeah, that's my idea. Gloria TV is saying that. Unfortunately, it has occurred in Germany. Cardinal Burke, are you going to stand up for our Mass? If you don't, who will? That's a problem. If you have a Father James Martin parish, do you stay at it? I'd say definitely not. That's not going to further your faith. That's only going to hurt it. Do you walk out every time there's heresy preached during the sermon? I mean, you should. But then you shouldn't come back. You should shake the dust off your feet. Now, if that's your only option, it's your only option. That's just how it works. But staying and fighting, it's a losing battle. You can fight from a distance. It's easier to do that. All right, Cardinal Parolin. He said, church. So just listen to this and tell me what you think. A church understood as a mystery of communion sheds greater light on the role of the laity, making it a matter of fostering in the lay faithful a clearer awareness of their vocation, which is expressed in a plurality of duties. But he warned that in dealing with these issues, we must be careful not to confuse the universal priesthood and the ministerial priesthood, arbitrarily interpreting the concept of substitution, clericalizing, and thus risking the creation of a de facto ecclesial structure of service parallel to that founded on the sacrament of holy orders. So he's basically talking about the priesthood of the people as a way towards women priests. And the more that you hear this kind of nonsense from anyone, the more that you'll become desensitized towards the idea of women priests. You gotta fight it every step of the way. Anytime anyone mentions women deacons without mentioning the word heresy in the sentence, gotta correct them. That's how it works. All right. So this actor, I'm not even sure how to say his name, and I don't know that I've ever seen any of his movies. Shai LaBeouf. People are gonna laugh at me because I don't know how to pronounce that. Were you paying attention the last several days? I'm sure you were. Apparently, he converted to traditional Catholicism. He spoke to Bishop Barron in a Word on Fire YouTube interview, and you can watch it. I think LifeSite News links to it, the link in the description, but you can just search it on the YouTube search bar and it'll come right up. He had a lot of things to say, but he kind of stunned Bishop Barron by saying that the Latin Mass, he said, the Latin Mass affects me deeply because it feels like they're not selling me a car. So basically his interpretation was the Novus Ordo, they seem to be like car salesmen where like, oh, here, this is cool, you should try this. Or you should go along with this Novus Ordo. How car salesmen try to convince you to buy something you don't want to buy. Well, that's kind of what he was referring to there. It's kind of an awkward quote, but someone pointed out that this interview was very honest and he wasn't using necessarily the trad talking points. He observed it for himself and he made up his own mind without much outside influence. I think he talked to Mel Gibson, but I don't think he talked to a lot of other people before making up his mind. Now, he had first sustained connection with Catholicism while living at a monastery with Franciscan Capuchin friars, the Order of Padre Pio, so that he could better understand how to act as the late great mystic for a movie. Elaborating on his newfound love for the Latin Mass, he said that while practicing Latin Mass for the role, he was having genuine emotional experiences. He experienced that the quietness and the sacred nature of the old liturgy spoke to him more deeply than the new liturgy. He said that being in a Novus Ordo setting was akin to being in a rationalistic, logical word, plot setting. It takes me out of the feeling realm, he added. Latin Mass puts me squarely in the feeling realm because I can't argue the word, because I don't know what the word means, so I'm just left with this feeling that feels sacred and connected. Okay, so there you go. People are finding the Latin Mass and they're actually liking what they see. All right, Father James Martin. He had some interesting things to say on Archbishop Rembert Weekland, the death of Archbishop Rembert Weekland. Father James Martin, I kept a screenshot of his original tweet in case I ever need to use it. He backed down on what he said, but he said, "Oh, he was a good friend of mine, and he was a pioneer." Or I forget what all he said. American Magazine honored him, even though he covered up the abuse, and he had a LMNOP friend, at least one. Um, yeah, and so Father James Martin's, I believe he posted something, and then as a response to someone who said, "Hey, like maybe he wasn't the best person," Father James Martin said, "Are any of your friends without sin?" That's a weird comeback. Anyway, he backed down on it because he it was such an unpopular tweet. Well, he recently posted another tweet where he said, "Dear friends, I'm happy to share the news that the Holy Father has reappointed me to another 5-year term as a consultor for the Vatican's Dicastery for Communication. I'm honored by the appointment and so much enjoy working with the Dicastery." The letter is dated March. He shared a letter. But I just got the okay to share it this morning on Thursday. Please pray for the important ministry of the Dicastery, which helps coordinate the general communications coming from the Holy Father, the Holy See, and the Vatican in general. So, I say Pope Francis, he's just misled by his advisors. I mean, he has no idea that Father James Martin promotes LMNOP relationships. He has no idea. Pope Francis is still traditional, right? Um, Father James Martin, I saw a comment on my video. Bishop Barron wrote an endorsement for Father James Martin's book. Oh, well, about spirituality. This isn't about LMNOP. Okay, whatever. Whatever, people. If you write an endorsement for Father James Martin's book, you're completely compromised. There's nothing else to say about that. Speaking of being compromised, Pope Francis on Tuesday imposed an October 1st deadline for all Holy See offices and Vatican-linked institutions to deposit their assets with the Vatican Bank. Francis' decree follows his decision earlier this year to entrust management of all Vatican assets to one office, the Patrimony Office known as APSA, in a bid to end decades of mismanagement that culminated with the scandal over a 350 million euro investment in a London property. Oh, I don't think the scandal's over. I do not think it's over. All right. There is a bishop, Bishop Patrick Zurich of Amarillo. How do you say it? In Texas. Amarillo is a color in Spanish, but I don't know if they pronounce the L or not. Anyway, he writes about there's a traditional Latin Mass in a private home in his diocese, and parishioners have been invited to attend. He said, "We received information that Father Joseph Noonan, who has been in the Diocese of Lubbock, Texas, around 15 years, has no faculties. He is not in communion with the Roman Catholic Church and belongs to a group of sedevacantists, in parentheses, schismatics, which denies legitimacy of the Pope after Vatican II. Therefore, his sacraments are invalid." And people said, "Whoa, hold on. They're valid but not licit." So this bishop, he has, I don't know what STL stands for, some kind of degree after his name, but he clearly has very poor knowledge of this area of whatever you call it, theology, canon law, because the sedevacantis priest, his sacraments are valid but not licit. Now, it just so happens that Bishop Zurich is a Biden bishop. He signed that Supich letter that I guess requested the USCCB not to take a stand on Biden's dissent from the Catholic faith and not to deny him communion. So you get a Biden bishop who's saying sedevacantists are schismatic. Wow. Really anything. I mean, if you supported a bishop who supported the Biden letter, or well, the letter to not deny Biden communion, you're not part of. You're off the team. I mean, you're not part of our you're not on our side. Uh, you're one of our opponents. You're the enemy. Plain and simple. All right, and now there's a new cardinal in the United States, McElroy. What a surprise! You go in the see what the McCarrick network will do for you. Just try to ease through the Washington Post and try to just pass by as quickly as you can. Oh, never heard anything. Oh, I don't know anything. I was good friends with McCarrick, but well, not really. I didn't know anything about his beach house or about all those seminarians, all those bishops that he promoted. Oh, wait, I am one of them. Okay. Well, anyway, Cardinal McElroy had a mass. He spoke about Christian humility Sunday at his first public mass since he was elevated to College of Cardinals. The August 28th Mass of Thanksgiving was celebrated at St. Patrick's Church in Rome, and American Cardinals, listen to this crew. American Cardinals Roger Mahoney, Wilton Gregory, Joseph Tobin, Blaise Cupich, Edward O'Brien, and Daniel DiNardo celebrated the Mass alongside 7 U.S. bishops and around 40 priests. So the rotten disgrace, Cardinal Mahoney, is out everywhere. How pathetic. Of course, Gregory, Tobin, Cupich. Who's Edward O'Brien? That's interesting. He's part of the problem too. If you're at a mass with this guy, I mean, man, you got to be pretty bad. DiNardo didn't seem like a bad guy, but I'll tell you what, when he cracked down on the Latin Mass and now he's here at this Mass, notice who wasn't named there? Burke. Does he go along with the LMNOPs? Because it looks like DiNardo's going right along with them. Okay. Also, one guy, and I want to talk about this just for a little bit. Bishop Stowe was also there. I didn't notice who any of the other 7 bishops were. I guess there would be 6 other, because he was one of the 7 U.S. bishops. I don't know who the other 6 were, but I can take a guess at who they were, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but Stowe is a quick riser. He's very young, and before you know it, he'll be named a cardinal, as long as we're under the Francis Church, or the LMNOP, the Rainbow Church, because Bishop Stowe is completely compromised. He's as bad as McElroy. I would say that. McElroy, he's spoken heresy. He said that he'd be open to women deacons. So there you go. I'm not open to McElroy. He supported LMNOP, McCarrick Cardinal. He opposed the USCCB. He said that abortion was not the preeminent priority of the USCCB, and he got in an argument with Chaput and Strickland. And yeah, so he's pretty terrible. Stowe is also horrible. And so Stowe's going to be, I'm surprised he's not even an archbishop yet, but look for open bishop positions because he's going to rise right up there to the top. And that's what being rotten anti-Catholic does for you in the Francis Church. Okay. Thanks for joining me, everyone, on the live stream. What about when some of the bishops were opposed to teaching about the Eucharist and how you're not supposed to receive it in the state of mortal sin? Yeah, you know what they're meeting. Omaha, the irony, considering all-girls school in Omaha promotes LMNOP in their alumni newsletter. Oh, wow. Well, I guess they'd be out of, out of compliance with the new rule. So good, interesting information there, Kansas City Royals fan. Amarillo. Okay. Well, are we bringing back baptism in the nude? Because that's the only reason they had deaconesses in the early church, to dress the newly baptized women. Okay. They were not ordained, they just had this rule to dress someone. Yeah, but I mean, you know what their goal is, right? I mean, if you've ever watched Taylor Marshall, I believe this was him that said it. Their goal is married priests, so it's a multi-step plan. Married priests. Yeah, Stowe is the one that was not very nice to the Covington kids. He was one of them, because he's a far left communist. That's why he opposes anything that has anything to do with what CNN. Or he supports everything that CNN promotes. Let's just say that. Um, his religion is social justice, not Catholicism. And he's very young, and he's going to rise up the ranks really very quickly because he promotes heresy. So they're going to try to get married priests. Okay, like a priest who's married to a woman. Okay, they already kind of have that, really. I mean, Anglican Ordinariate. You can get a dispensation from Rome to just be a diocesan priest who's married to a woman. Then they're going to try to get women deacons, and then move that to women priests, and then married LMNOP priests, because several of them are probably LMNOP. I mean, you look at the Archbishop Weakland who just died, and he was openly LMNOP because someone ratted him out. That's the secret. McCarrick, of course. But then what about his McCarrick network? How did they rise up the ranks? Did they rise up the ranks because they were brilliant theological scholars? Do you think any of the bishops are brilliant theological scholars? There might be one here or there. They might be scholars, but what about in terms of the Catholic faith, right? And quite honestly, you don't even have to be necessarily a brilliant scholar to be a good bishop. You just have to believe in the Catholic faith. And right now, I don't see very much of that. I see that in maybe Strickland. Coeur d'Alene seems to have some faith. Connolly in Lincoln, Nebraska. I just listened to an interview of him. There's other ones. Well, Bishop Olmsted of Phoenix, he seems to be like a decent guy, but he's no longer Bishop of Phoenix, and that's a sad thing. Good bishops they're becoming less and less. Bishop DeGrood from South Dakota seems to have his head on straight, and also in South Dakota is it South or North Dakota? Where's Fargo? Is Fargo North Dakota? Anyway, what's his name? Archbishop Gullickson is retired. He took an early retirement to go live in one of the Dakotas. That's pretty far up north for me. I mean, either one. But he's traditional. He says the Latin Mass, but anyway, that's what we have right now. So, yeah, it's a tough spot. But hey, we'll be able to work through it. So, anyway, this has been EVTN News. Thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.